Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am reading a text that someone just sent to me. Somebody said that Tika Tawari guy is on Glenn Beck again. I'll have to go check that out. Now, at the end of this video, I'm going to show you something that really kind of blew me back because it's 2 years ago. I was trying to figure something out. I was trying to figure out what a symbol meant or what it looked like. And it wasn't until this morning that I found one that looked just like it, and it ties into what I was going to talk about. And it can mean nothing, but at the end of this video, you're going to at least, I believe you're going to at least say, whoa. Okay. So here we go. Strap in. The market has started to come on back. We had a pullback, and now it is trying to head back up towards that $1 trillion and beyond. And so it looks like Bitcoin's at about 34, XRP is at about 28. I find it interesting that Stellar and XRP are both at 28 cents. Stellar, it's almost like they are intentionally being put side by side, because it's like every time one of them goes down or goes up a lot, the other one seems to be trying to catch it almost. It's almost like it's happening intentionally. That's not what I'm saying is happening. I'm just saying what it appears to be. Okay. Brian Brooks, the OCC guy, tweeted this out this morning. Decentralized finance, or DeFi, is coming. The banking system and the rest of us need to get ready. And he's retweeting this. Get ready for self-driving banks. And then this is an article that apparently has Brian Brooks featured in it. So he says DeFi is coming. All right. Well, what is DeFi to us? Well, it's Flare, okay? And this guy from Flare Community has put out, it's a video that's coming out that you're going to want to go see. It says, in my next video, I'll be revealing how you can generate a passive income on the Flare network from holding Spark or various F assets once the network launches. Spoiler, the video will not be about Flare Finance. And here's his channel, is Flare Community, and this thing premieres at 12 o'clock, I guess, Eastern time. And so I intend to watch this myself. And again, that's Flare Community. Go give him a subscribe. Now, Michelle Vandenberg sent me this. Now this, I couldn't believe it when I saw this article. Wait till you see this. Lost passwords lock millionaires out of their Bitcoin fortunes. This is from the New York Times, and it's Stefan Thomas, who is the creator of the Interledger Protocol, who works at Ripple, okay? Or now he's at Coil. But Bitcoin owners are getting rich because the cryptocurrency has soared. But what happens when you can't access that wealth? So what are the chances of the New York Times, just of all the guys who apparently lost their private Bitcoin keys, that they decide to feature, it's Stefan Thomas. So let's look at this. Stefan Thomas, a German-born programmer living in San Francisco, has 2 guesses left to figure out a password that is worth, as of this week, about $221 million. The password will let him unlock a small hard drive known as Iron Key, which contains the private keys to a digital wallet that holds 7,002 Bitcoin. While the price of Bitcoin dropped sharply on Monday, it is still up more than 50% from last month. From just a month ago, when it passed its previous all-time high of around 20,000. The problem is that Mr. Thomas years ago lost the paper where he wrote down the password for his Iron Key, which gives users 10 guesses before it seizes up and encrypts its contents forever. He has since tried 8 of his most commonly used password formulations to no avail. I would just lay in bed and think about it, Mr. Thomas said. Then I would go to the computer with some new strategy and it wouldn't work and I would be desperate again. I mean, to me, what they just described is my definition of hell. This poor guy, I had no idea. This guy has over 7,002 Bitcoin that he can't get to. The dude is almost a billionaire, and all he's got to do is figure out a stupid password. That is crazy. That's unbelievable. But it's also pretty wild that of all the people, they picked a guy from Ripple, who's one of the guys that is changing the world, to focus on. Now, here we go. I want to show you, there's two topics that I'm about to cover that I find really fascinating. Here's the first. This guy says, hey, digital asset investor, remember this post by Kendra Hill? Oh, yes, I do. Think of the cross-border payments as a nice testing ground to prepare Ripple for the use case they have been focused on since the beginning of 2000. Think of the cross-border payments as a nice testing ground to prepare Ripple for the use case they have been focused on since the very beginning. The true intentions of Ripple are to handle 100% of the transactions which take place in the derivatives market. So why do they not make this public knowledge? For multiple reasons, the most important one being that they are not ready. They're missing a piece to the puzzle, and that piece is called Codius. And then Brianna Madigan, they had put this out not too long ago. Ripple's Brianna Madigan explains why derivatives are the building blocks of every market development cycle, including the crypto market. Read more on Insights. Now, let's go to this. What is Libor? The London Interbank Offered Rate is an interest rate average calculated from estimates submitted by the leading banks in London. Each bank estimates what it would be charged were it to borrow from other banks. Okay. And remember, in the 2008 financial crisis, what caused the problem was that everything locked up between all of these banks. Okay. Now, as we go down the page, it says, let's go down to here. Libor rates are calculated for 5 currencies and 7 borrowing periods ranging from overnight to 1 year and are published each business day by Thomson Reuters. Many financial institutions, mortgage lenders, and credit card agencies set their own rates relative to it. At least $350 trillion in derivatives and other financial products are tied to Libor. Now, here we go, folks. Here we go. So remember Sandy O'Connor, who was hired or added to Ripple's board of directors recently? Sandy O'Connor, this is from XRP King Lin. Now, every once in a while, I see these Twitter accounts pop up, and when I am listening to them and watching what they're saying, all of a sudden I'm like, this looks like somebody that may have just popped up, who might be one of these people from the blast from the past, like somebody either like, and I'm not saying they are, but either like a Kendra Hill or a Rachel Lee. I see these people every once in a while. They pop up with these accounts, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, they start talking like they know something. So this person is one of them. This King Lin, I think, showed up not too long ago. All right. XRP, Sandy O'Connor is the head of the transition from Libor to SOFR. XRP plays a big role, and I believe this to be true. They are going to freeze the system January 25th, 2021. Now, I'm not saying that they are. I'm just saying this is interesting, folks. And it will probably be a price reset. Okay? Listen to this.
Bank of Australia, Federal Reserve in New York, they're all inside the RippleNet protocol as well, using their own internal ledger settlement systems, so they're all running on RippleNet, which is interesting because the protocols supplement live date day 1, January 25th, 2021. In my opinion, this is going to lock the markets up completely. They're going to have so many difficulties trying to get this thing to go live that they're just going to cease trading. They're going to cease every bank of.
And don't you find it interesting that XRP is going to be halted on Coinbase and all these exchanges by like January 19th, is it? Okay. And then there was this one.
Going to take to get up and running. And here's the biggest one. Ensure that the legacy exposure is minimized. Well, that's going to be a tough call to pull all that legacy exposure of $750 trillion into the new systems here in a single day and not have it go haywire. I can't see a smooth transition. I really can't do it. Can't see it. Because in addition, what they're going to be riding on is this CDM data model. Machine readable, machine executable models for derivatives products. This is all about standardizing how derivatives are traded and managed through the life cycle. And talking about the fallback rates, this PDF is also linked in the description box below. But look at the players inside here. And if we're looking at the Bank of England, Bank of Japan, Reserve Bank of Australia, Federal Reserve in New York, they're all...
By the way, this SIX Swiss exchange that's up here, the guy that runs that is the original guy that was at R3. Don't quote me on that, but I remember him specifically. He was the first guy at R3, and now he's at that SIX Swiss exchange.
Inside the Ripple Net protocol as well, using their own internal ledger settlement systems, so they're all running on RippleNet, which is interesting because the protocols supplement live date day 1, January 25th.
Okay, let's see if we, I've got some other things having to do with this. Okay, now here's Sandy O'Connor. This is also from XRP King Glenn. XRP is the transition from Libor to SOFR. Don't know if I'm saying that right. Led by Sandy.
Broader economy, right? To help finance homes, to help finance.
By the way, the lady to her left is this Novik lady from BlackRock.
College educations to help finance autos. So that's what the whole goal is. Now, right post the financial crisis, what actually happened? Oh my goodness, the system, particularly the institutions, were not safe and sound. There were not adequate levels of capital and liquidity. So the shock absorbers of the systems were not big enough and deep enough, and the quality was not enough. So where are we? Because post the financial crisis, and just to, again, lay the landscape, the G20 nations came together in Pittsburgh, and they said, this will never happen again. And we are going to create a level of standard that every investor, borrower, participant in the world can rely upon with regard to the safety and soundness of banks and the safety and soundness, again, of those functioning markets, right? So the Financial Stability Board, the Basel Committee, they set those standards, and then within jurisdictions around the world, in our case, here in the United States, the policymakers, the Fed, the OCC, the FDIC, the SEC, the CFTC, and a myriad of others, take those international standards and implement them. So what is...
Yes, sir. And then there was this. He's got all kinds of good stuff here. It was a milestone that capped off a 2-year-long effort led by O'Connor to establish a possible replacement for Libor ahead of its scheduled demise in 2021. O'Connor has been out in front explaining the advantages of the new system. And then there's this. What is happening with Libor or other Libors in the other countries? And this is Sandy O'Connor. And then it says public-private sector working groups similar to ARRC have been forming in these jurisdictions. Most have selected some from the overnight rate, given their deep and liquid markets. Then we have, let's see, that's the video I already showed you. And then this, what does the Alternative Reference Rates Committee do? The ARRC was convened by the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve Bank of New York in 2014. Well, that's where Glenn Hutchins was. And then we go down, Alternative Rates Committee. Let me see if there's anything else having to do with this. Then he tweets this out. BIS and New York Fed signed deal through John C. Williams at the New York Fed. Sandy O'Connor worked as former member of the Treasury Markets Practices Group by the Fed of New York. So this was what I showed you yesterday. And then she was actually there as well as Glenn Hutchins. And then, and now they're forming this. This is all, of course, out of nowhere, right? Let me see if there's anything here that I haven't shown you having to do with this. Okay. RizXRP sent me this. Heath Tarbert, my take on Cointelegraph on Bitcoin and Ethereum. These commodities represent a large portion of the digital asset markets under CFTC jurisdiction. Still, they are relatively small compared to others we regulate. Regulatory certainty will be the key to their growth. So even Heath Tarbert, who's very quiet about things, wants some regulatory certainty. Mark Cuban weighed in yesterday, I guess. Watch the cryptos trade. It's exactly like the internet stock bubble. Exactly. I think Bitcoin, Ethereum, a few others will be analogous to those that were built during the dot-com era. Survived the bubble bursting and thrived like Amazon, eBay, and Priceline. Many won't. And then David Goatstein comes in and says, so you're saying you like Bitcoin now. My position hasn't changed in years. Is it value or is it use? I'm just trying to understand your point of view. It's a store of value. It has no real utility. All the discussion about fiat and debasement is a sales pitch. Bitcoin isn't designed for transactions. It's not designed to be a hedge. It's designed to be an attractive store of value and does a good job doing only that. So Mark Cuban gets it. All right. Now, let's go on into something that I found very interesting. This kind of came across my desk. From here on out in this video, which this video I think should be about 20 to 25 minutes is what I'm guessing, 25 minutes. But it'll be worth your time from here on out. Just follow me here because I believe all the world's a stage and I believe everything we've watched, I believe it has to do with changing the entire, I believe XRP and XLM have always had to do with changing the entire world's financial system as well as national security. And I believe it's always been, as Greg Kidd said, about having intergalactic currencies, not because you want to transact business in outer space necessarily, but as a way to keep the financial system from being brought down by the bad guys. Okay. Here we go. Are you ready? And I believe Elon Musk knows all about it. I believe Elon Musk has been involved from the beginning. And I believe there's a lot of people involved in this whole thing that, what should I say? Anyway, just listen. Here we go. West Coast high tech, beware. Elon Musk, this was yesterday from Disclosed TV. West Coast high tech. Now, those of you that have been watching, you've been seeing a lot of the things going on with all the current events. I don't get into all that because I don't want to get into politics, and I also don't want to get in trouble with whoever, YouTube or whoever. West Coast high tech, beware. Elon Musk can soon switch off platforms globally via SpaceX Starlink that don't comply with the company's policies to protect the internet on Earth and Mars. This guy replies, and he happens to have an XRP handle. This guy replies, and now you've figured out what Space Force was really for. Watch the next few minutes of this video, folks, because I think I could blow your mind. So, of course, we know that Starlink is an offshoot of SpaceX. SpaceX has an X in it. Starlink, of course, has an X in it as well. All right. And I've brought this up before, but this is from Starlink's website. And what does that look like? For one thing, it looks like a grid of these low orbit Starlink satellites, but it also sure does resemble the globe that we've seen having to do with the XRP ledger. It used to be on their website, and these look like nodes. Here, they look like they could be satellites, but they also look like nodes. One and the same, maybe. Then we have this guy. Here's another Twitter handle that just popped up out of nowhere and seems to be talking like they know somewhere in the last short while, last 24 hours. Puts a picture of this, which is what I just described to you, then puts a picture of SpaceX and says, Elon Musk started with Company X. And I didn't know that, but I'm about to show you something. Started with Company X, i.e. PayPal. And then he links out to, what did he link out to here? Okay. Links out to this video, which I'm going to show you. Let's close that. He says his career started with payments and could end with payments. The infrastructure of Starlink will, in my opinion, be used to run DLT nodes for the new financial system over a cloud-based AI network, Space XRP. Folks, look at that freaking X on that building. That X right there on that building is not the same X that goes with SpaceX. That X on that building is the freaking XRP logo. Now look, I don't know if that building right there, I don't know if that building right there is the actual building. Somebody may have doctored the picture and put the XRP logo on that. Okay. That's possible. But I just don't believe that all of this is a coincidence. And you'll wait. I'm not done yet. Okay. All right, here we go. Watch this video from 2013 with Elon Musk. And I want you to remember something. Elon, in this interview, this is when he's being interviewed, and he's with SpaceX right here, okay? I want you to remember, now this is 2003, so this is a long time ago. We've seen Jerome Powell one time, he said that they've been working on digital currencies for decades, okay? Listen to what Elon Musk says. This is a 3-minute video. It's worth your time.
So we had that, but I wanted to do something more after Zip 2. So post.
And while you're watching this, I want you to think about something, okay? Elon Musk is never, ever associated with anybody from Ripple. And I mean people that are connected, like Greg Kidd. You don't ever see those two names in the same place. And trust me, I've looked. You don't ever see Elon Musk. You don't ever see his name on anything beside a Chris Larson. All these people know each other out there. Trust you me. But you don't ever see any of these people affiliated with each other. It's like they're separate. You don't ever see it. Okay?
Sale. In fact, immediately post the sale, I didn't really take any time off. I was trying to think of where the opportunities this is in early '99, where the opportunities remained in the internet. And it seemed to me that there hadn't been a lot of innovation in the financial services sector. And when you think about it, money is low bandwidth. You don't need some sort of big infrastructure improvement to do things with it. It's really just an entry in the database. The paper form of money is really only a small percentage of all the money that's out there. So it should lend itself to innovation on the internet. So we thought of a couple of different things we could do. One of the things was to combine all of somebody's financial services needs into one website, so you could have banking, brokerage, insurance, and all sorts of things in one place. And that was actually quite a difficult problem to solve. But we solved most of the issues associated with that. And then we had a little feature, which took us about a day. That was the ability to email money from one customer to another. So you could type in an email address, or actually any unique identifier, and transfer funds, or conceivably stocks or mutual funds or whatever, from one account holder to another. And if you try to transfer money to somebody who didn't have an account in the system, it would then forward an email to them saying, hey, why don't you sign up and open an account? So, and whenever we demonstrate these two sets of features, we'd say, well, this was a feature that took us a lot of effort to do, and look how you can see your bank statement and your mutual funds and your insurance and all that. It's all on one page, and look how convenient that is, and people would go, well, ho-hum. And then we'd say, and by the way, we have this feature where you can enter somebody's email address and transfers funds, and they go, wow. So we we're like, okay. So we focused the company's business on email payments. And in the early going, the company was called X.com. And then there was another company called Confinity, which had actually also started out from a different area. They started out with Palm Pilot cryptography, and then they had as a demo application
Palm Pilot cryptography,
token payments from one Palm Pilot to another by the infrared port. And then they had a website which was called PayPal, where you would reconcile the beamed payments. And what they found was that the website portion was actually far more interesting to people than Palm Pilot cryptography was. So they started leading their business in that direction. And then in basically early 2000, X.com acquired Confinity, and then about a year later, we ended up changing the company's name to PayPal.
Okay, so this is what he started. X.com, and if you go to that website, it's still, the only thing on that website is a tiny little X in the top left corner. You should check it out. But if you heard what he said was it started as a cryptography, I think he said a cryptography company or whatever. But anyway, and then X.com eventually became merged with Confinity. And then that's what became PayPal. Okay. So, but I find it interesting that he started with X.com is what he started with. And then I also find it interesting that Stellar, I've always found it interesting that Stellar has this website, and the whole thing is built around, stellar, interstellar, constellations. It's all about space. Everything about Stellar is about space. So it's not just XRP and that whole idea. It's also Stellar. And then I looked back a ways, and there was this. This was back in 2018. We had Ashish Birla, and he's on stage with these people here, Making Money Move, our blockchain fintech session at Brainstorm Tech, headed by this person who's from Fortune. We've got Ripple, we've got Stripe, and we've got IBM, who's a partner with Stellar, talking payments, crypto, and otherwise. Okay, so they're all on stage talking about that, right? And then here's another tweet about it. Why did Stripe give up on Bitcoin and blockchain payments? Read more here. So Stripe gave up that they had it on their platform, Bitcoin and all that, and it just didn't work because proof of work doesn't work. Okay,
market for crypto.
This is them talking about it, but you don't have to hear all of that. So anyway, but later in the article, after they talk about how they had abandoned Bitcoin and all that, it gets down here. IBM is likewise optimistic about cryptocurrency. On Tuesday, the company announced it's testing a so-called stablecoin, which will maintain a 1-to-1 value with the U.S. dollar. It goes on. IBM is not the only company that sees a real-world role for blockchain and cryptocurrencies right now. Ashish Birla, SVP of product at Ripple, which supplies blockchain to banks, said the technology is already making an impact in the financial world. He described North America as overbanked, with their plethora of credit cards and payment services like Venmo, PayPal. If you're going to expand into a new country today, you're going to use blockchain for that expansion, So it's a whole thing, right? Well, then we got this, okay? Mt. Gox founder raises unconventional $3 million investment for his all-star Bitcoin startup. This is back in 2014. August 1st, 2014. Jed McCaleb, the man who founded Mt. Gox. And by the way, Jed McCaleb is also the guy who always gets out of trouble. He didn't get in trouble for Mt. Gox. He goes off, starts Ripple. Anywhere there's trouble, this guy escapes and goes to start new companies and continue to build companies. Jed McCaleb, the man who founded Mt. Gox back in the day, when it was still known as the Magic the Gathering online exchange, yesterday unveiled his newest project, Stellar, an online exchange for both fiat and digital currencies, as well as a whole lot more. Just hours after the news broke, the online payments site Stripe made its own announcement. The San Francisco-based company said that it had contributed $3 million to McCaleb's new project. Stellar itself is a rare startup in its own right, but this round of funding isn't like anything I've ever seen. Goes down to the bottom. Based on McCaleb's bio on his site, it seems he is trying to distance himself from his Mt. Gox roots. Advisors to Stellar include Naval, co-founder of AngelList, who was an angel investor in Twitter. Now remember, folks, you have to remember, this guy's an angel investor in Twitter. Who else do we know that invested in Twitter early? Greg Kidd. Greg Kidd invested in Twitter. Not only that, but Greg Kidd was so close to Jack Dorsey, who created Twitter, that Jack Dorsey, when he was first starting out and was about to found Twitter, actually babysat Greg Kidd's kids so that he would have a place to stay. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Now look at these other people, WordPress, then the guy that started Dogcoin. McCaleb's other co-founder is David Mazaris, a professor of computer science at Stanford. Jed and David are perfect people to tackle something like this, wrote Brockman. If they and their team pull it off, Stellar could become a much better substrate for a lot of the world's financial systems. Okay? Look down here at the bottom, then we're going to get back to David Mazaris. Stripe said it will auction off a majority of its Stellars to other interested parties, Stripe was founded in 2012 by John and Patrick Collison and raised $120 million in venture capital from these people. Then Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, the co-founders of PayPal. So indirectly, Elon Musk has invested in Stripe, which he in turn invested in Stellar. Okay? So there's your link. There's Elon Musk to Stellar. Okay. Now look, let's go back up. I've always been fascinated by how Jed McCaleb always lands on his feet. There were a lot of people that from the Mt. Gox thing that did not escape. Well, Jed McCaleb did. And Jed McCaleb partnered to form Stellar with this David Mazeras guy. And I looked him up, and look what happens when you get to him. This is David Mazeras. He's the co-founder, chief scientist at Stellar, professor of computer science at Stanford. And when you go down and start looking at what he's done, you get down to here and you capture my attention. Member. I don't even say some of the words of some of these organizations, but 2010 to 2013, which is basically when Ripple and Stellar were formed. During that time, this guy is with that word right there is the one we're looking at. And that word is this, right? This organization is a military organization creating breakthrough technologies and capabilities for national security. Does my son need to draw you a picture, folks? Now I want to draw your attention to this, because now, for me, this is kind of one of those moments where I'm like, you know what? I smell a there. All right, what you're looking at is a commercial that Ripple did they put it up on October 30th of 2018. And if you look at the back of this car, this is the commercial where the lady has a suitcase and she's getting on. They're trying to illustrate that right now you can still move money faster. Brad Garlinghouse has used this analogy 1,000 times. You still have to get on an airplane with a suitcase of cash you can get the money there faster by doing that than you can by using the Swift system. And that's been the sales pitch for a long time. Well, this has bothered me for a long time. In the commercial, the lady gets into this car, and if you look at the back of this car, it looks like a Tesla. Remember, Elon Musk, Tesla is what he started, okay? If you look at the back of this, it looks like a Tesla, but the logo on the back of the car is not the Tesla logo. You can look, here's the back of a Tesla, okay? The back of that Tesla has a T, right? But if you look at the back of this car, it's identical to the back of this car. It is a Tesla. Now, I always thought, okay, well, they didn't want to have the Tesla logo on there. And notice below that you see the X. But they didn't want to have the Tesla logo there, right? Maybe it would be some kind of copyright thing or something, didn't want to get in trouble. Well, I've always wondered, though, what is that, okay? And it's always kind of bothered me. And I had somebody ask me what that logo was. And I didn't know. I haven't known for 2 years. So in the process, and let's take you back to the tweet that got me talking about this, which was this one, this disclosed TV. West Coast high tech beware. Elon Musk can soon switch off platforms globally via SpaceX, Starlink. And this guy's reply, he says, and now you figured out what Space Force was really for. Okay? I've thought for a long time. I mean, we've heard this talked about over and over and over is Space Force. Okay? But we've never really known what they were doing. Well, so back to the Ripple video. So this is the symbol that's used instead of the Tesla logo. Just so happens that I've seen that same symbol before, and it's inside of and you know, this logo is very similar to the Ethereum logo, but that looks like that. And it's also a symbol of the stars. I mean, I think that symbol is used to kind of be like a North Star look type thing. And I'm just wondering if it's a coincidence that just happens to look like that. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that the Ripple commercial, the logo on the back of that Tesla, is not the Tesla logo, but it sure looks like this one in the center of the Space Force logo. Thank you for listening.